it's weird because I know the way your brain works well enough now, because I see it in myself as well. You're being very careful with how you're speaking.
Part of expressing yourself is potentially offending people.
Edit all that out.
No, keep it in. That's got to stay in. You've got to watch the crash and burn. In 2017, after Uber driving for about a month, I had a passenger that I could not stop laughing with. She said, I could see this kind of conversation on YouTube. I said, I don't think anybody will watch that. But her idea sat at the back of my head, and when I got home, I searched the interwebs, and I found a gentleman by the name is Ryan is Driving, who had about 50,000 subscribers at the time. He seemed to be doing all right. James Corden's carpool karaoke was a thing, but that was like a big Hollywood kind of production. I wanted to see if people were doing it in the rideshare space, and Ryan was killing it. I related to Ryan's relaxed and easygoing nature with his passengers. I reached out to him, and he replied. He was so kind and forthcoming with suggestions and ideas on how to help me start this whole thing of my own. 7 years later, I decided it was time to meet the legend and shake his hand. Whilst in America, I flew to Charleston, South Carolina, and spent the day with Ryan is Driving. Today's podcast crossover is epic. Enjoy.
It don't really matter what you say. I ain't listening to you anyway.
I remember, I think I heard him talking about this one time, but he had a video. He got exposed because he was supposedly driving with one of the celebrities, and they were actually just getting pulled on a trailer.
Yes.
Justin Bieber. And James Corden.
Yeah, because of the road noise.
Yeah.
The road noise. Which, you know what? For the amount of audio fucking headaches I've had around road noise, good for him. That is such a practical, very expensive procedure, but that's such a practical way to go about it.
Well, I think it was also that he didn't want to drive because he didn't want that to factor in. That's what I understood. I didn't think about the road noise.
Oh, I thought it was like a production thing. But that actually also makes sense because then he doesn't have to think.
Yeah.
Which, in fairness, I've had conversations with people that have had to not stop, but just even exactly what's happening here.
Yeah, right.
We're going to go one
way. A second.
And then there's a jolt in the conversation. So I guess he doesn't have to worry about that.
I've always liked that, though, that this adds to the experience. And I think that's why people got pissed. I think it's silly that people got so upset about that, and people really got upset about it. But it's true. He's commandeering this environment that, we kind of stumbled upon. I definitely just got lucky back then and didn't realize that this is a really good space to talk to people.
Yes.
And he was taking that and just mass producing it basically.
It's Hollywood. To me it represents Hollywood in a nutshell of you think it's something great, and it is great
and authentic. It's manufactured authenticity.
Exactly right. Which is not authenticity. It's manufactured. In which case, it's manipulation, but of the positive kind, because it doesn't hurt you. Yeah. However, if they start to go political, or if they start to go into something where they're trying to jam something down my throat, I'm like, you can manipulate me to make me laugh. That's kind of where I draw the line. I don't really want anything more. When I learned about how stand-up comedy works, in that they have the same bit that they tell over and over again. I didn't know it worked like that.
Yeah, I thought these takes you out of it a little bit.
It's the manufactured authenticity thing, because sometimes, and this is something that I think is brilliant, they laugh at their own jokes, and it's not because they're finding it funny. They're sick of hearing it. They're laughing because they know it adds to the audience's likelihood to laugh.
They're putting on an act.
It is. It is a stand-up comedy act. And I think the more I learnt about how some of these shows work, the more I gave myself permission to go, okay, well, if I can harmlessly frame this in a way that I guess is not I'm not shitting on anybody or shitting on something or someone. I'm kind of just putting it out there for under the umbrella of entertainment.
Yeah.
I'll give myself permission to do that. But I do. That's why I don't go political. That's why I don't really go into causes. Even when my dog Polo died, someone's suggestion was to. So I set up like an OnlyFans, and I sexualized my nose.
Yeah.
And it was a nosy fans.
Yeah.
And the basis of it was
I remember that.
Yeah, so Polo's a dog, he sniffs stuff, and any money that was earned went to a charity for a dog shelter, Forever Friends Dog Shelter. And even that, like asking people for money around that, I was like, I liked the cause, and it meant something to me because, you know, it was Polo. But I also was like, I'm stepping a little bit outside of the entertainment realm here. Is this okay? And I wasn't in love with asking people for money in that sense, but I'm like, okay, I think people will get it.
Yeah.
And I could land on a comfortable feeling around it. But there was a bit of a this is no longer just entertainment. Now I'm asking people to do something for me.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably more just like an online confidence thing. But yeah, the manufactured authenticity.
That's good. I think more creators need to like kind of question that, right? Because you see like Logan Paul getting in trouble for the whole crypto scam.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it wasn't his fault that those people he was trying to work with were all scammers or whatever, but he didn't put in his due diligence of like asking that question, right? Of being like, hey, is this sketchy? Like, is this something that my millions of impressionable young viewers are going to like get screwed over by? And he didn't put that in, and I kind of have that in my head too, which sucks. It sucks to have a consciousness sometimes, because you know I would love to make millions of dollars on some shady crypto website.
You'd love to go Patty Mayo.
Yeah, Patty Mayo. Same thing. Like it's kind of scummy behavior to me, and I wish I didn't have that standard. Sometimes I'd be doing a lot. I would live in like LA right now or something.
Yeah,
and be surrounded by models or whatever they're doing. But unfortunately, I have this pesky consciousness that reminds me of how much of an asshole I am.
No, I think it's also easier because you and I operate on like a skeleton team. So it's like you and an editor, or me and an editor. I'm going to stop speaking on your behalf. I'm not responsible for a huge group of people that rely on me to ideate, film, produce all of these like things to make a show work. And I think like a Mr. Beast, for example, he's got such a built out team.
Yeah.
If he says, guys, I'm not making videos for the next 6 months, it kind of fucks over a lot of people. That's something that kind of scares me a bit about building out.
Yeah.
Because I haven't perfected the burnout thing, and if I'm going to be burning out and then people aren't going to get work, even this trip, I'm away in total for 6 weeks or 5 weeks or something like that, and I don't have any work for my editors.
Yeah.
I sent you that message when I was like, I'm trying to do this before I leave, I'm trying to do this. I didn't finish all of that. And because of that, I don't have work for my editors, and I'm like, well, if I keep not having work for them, then they're going to go somewhere where they can get regular work. So, like, there's a pressure.
Yeah.
And I can understand why some content creators put their own values to the side and kind of sell out, I guess, to a degree.
I think there's definitely certain people like that for sure, and I love how you're framing this from it being the point of view of them actually looking out for their people. I love that.
You don't think it's reality?
I think that's the case for some people, and I think there's a lot of people that's not the case, and they don't give a shit about the people working for them.
Yeah.
I don't think they give a shit about a lot of stuff, and that's okay. I mean, that's like we were talking about earlier. We're all kind of products. Like, there's a reason why Americans are such natural influencers. That personality. It's like our culture like contributes to this directly. It creates these kind of people who are very self-interested, and you know, it makes it easy to be this kind of person. And you know, I wish I could say that was the case for most of them. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of them probably just think they can get away with something.
I think you're probably right. I was trying to go glass half full, but you're definitely.
Well, I'm just countering that. And if you said,
devil's
that's a lot of thing, right?
Devil's avocados.
Exactly.
I get it. The reason why I brought up late night shows. Mm-hmm. So I grew up on Letterman, and then the Late Show with Craig Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson. How did you not say his name? That was the one. That was the one.
He's
I was trying to think of.
He's Scottish.
He's Scottish. Yeah, I'm fucking dumb.
Craig Ferguson is the pinnacle of the late night show.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a photo of, it's actually a screenshot from the interview of him with Robin Williams next to my desk, because it is my favorite interview of all time. 15 minutes where Robin Williams has like this energy that no one can match, and I've watched every single interview of him on YouTube, but Craig Ferguson keeps up, and his job is to be the foil to like the star, but for some, I'm gonna rewatch it tonight. For some reason,
check that out.
I'll link it to you. For some reason, he's able to keep up, and it is so like intoxicating. Yeah. And I idolize that kind of late night show host. So last week, when my friend got last minute tickets to go see the Late Show, it was actually with Stephen Colbert. I was really excited because it was my first late show. That's the proper New York experience. You get to do. It was in the Ed Sullivan Theater. That's where Letterman used to do his show. And I'm like, I'm going to see it. I'm going to do the late. I was pumped. And I got to be honest with you.
Underwhelming?
Look, we got unlucky with the guests. So that's a luck thing because you only find out the guests once you're there.
Right.
But Letterman used to have, and Craig Ferguson, they used to have segments. And it was like an hour show where they would entertain obviously the crowd and the audience, but it just had a feeling of like there was heart. I don't know how else to put it other than there was heart. And I really like Stephen Colbert, but there was like one segment, it was a very short like news kind of segment, which kind of falls into what he's always done, and the rest of it was interviewing guests, and from what I could gather, it was a YouTube show. It was something that you and I could put on with them. We have a much smaller budget. Yeah. But I was like, okay, so now they're making the Late Show for the clips on YouTube. And I was like, don't get me wrong, it was a nice experience, but I'm like, this is a little less concerned about the audience and more what's in it for them. Yeah. At least that was my take, and maybe the expectation was just so great because of it's like a nostalgic childhood thing, but like, man, I was like, if this is what the behind the scenes actually looks like, that's a bit disappointing. Yeah. It's like they're not trying as hard as they used to.
Yeah, I get that. But that's also, it's such a hard, and again, making conversation here.
Sure.
God, can you imagine being that, like, we do that in short spurts on our weekends. Can you imagine doing that to millions and millions of people and having to, like, put that on all the time and
5 days a week.
Yeah, 5 days a week, and having so like we can burn out, and I can take a month off and it's all right. They can't burn out.
No, you're right. That's actually a very good point.
I think that's why guys like Craig, who seem to do it so well, and I agree. I think he was absolutely my fan. I'm kicking myself for forgetting his fucking name. I honestly haven't. It's funny that he disappeared. He stopped doing late night and he disappeared. Yeah. And I haven't even he just completely disappears once he stops doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not certain on this, but a large reason of him leaving has got to be tied, because he did an amazing job. There's no way he didn't have a chance to do something. I can't imagine he was just like, this probably isn't worth it for my health anymore.
Well, he did it for a long time. I can't remember what his reason for retiring was, but all of these late night show dudes say the same thing, that it's just torture.
You have to keep a mask on the entire time, and I feel that too. Yeah. And it's hard to keep that mask on so much. Yeah. Jeez, man.
Yeah. And especially under such a produced thing. I did my first ever mini acting gig. Oh. It was just like so we have this thing called
Pornhub?
No, that was my second.
We dipped your toes in and went straight to anal.
So you've seen it.
I'm subscribe.
I mean, all the fake taxi jokes have got to reach a pinnacle at some point. Melbourne-based creator, she basically wrote the show, and she was like, there's like 5 lines as a bartender, do you want to do it? I'm like, fuck yeah, I've never acted before, bring it on. And I was so impressed by how many moving parts are on a set. So many people acting in a scene, yet there would be like 20 other crew members, and each of them have a specific job. And it looked like when they say cut, everybody kind of goes to their roles or goes to do their little jobs, and it's so specified. It looks like chaos, but it all just works.
Yeah.
And I guess I saw that a little bit at the Late Show the other night. It's very impressive. But that over and over again, like coordinating that or even just being part of that, I can see being very exhausting on a regular basis.
For sure. It is nice to kind of delegate each part of the system to like one department. Mm-hmm. Then it will run smoothly with a team. Like I see my friends in the film industry here do that. It's cool. But there's no way I'd be able to I wouldn't be able to coordinate that stuff myself. Because I'm too all over the place. Yeah. I'm too, go with the flow. Yeah. With things.
So same, and I don't think we're the right personality types to be the ones coordinating it. I think we're the ones to be part of it, and maybe producing it or writing it. Yeah. I think you need the left side brain. You need the engineer kind of systematic thinker.
Yeah, and it's that balance again. It's like that stuff only works when that balance, those two sides of the brain are in harmony. And it really is funny because you can be I bet the most creative person in the world no one's seen what they've made, because even jobs like doing YouTube requires so much discipline just to be able to get that other side of your brain together enough to be able to put stuff out properly. Yeah. And that's hard. I struggle with that a lot. I think a lot of the creative types I've met have this interesting thing. I see you do it too, where there's this consideration, and just this level of, I think it's probably just empathy, where you're being very careful with how you're speaking. Sure. And I think a lot of people don't have that. Okay. Right, where they're just kind of saying what they think all the time. Yeah. But I find that people that feel that way, that really have that awareness of the person they're speaking to, I think that's a lot of it, right? There's a lot of people, you can tell who's a good conversationalist because they're aware of, they know that listening is just as important as speaking.
So you're framing that in a positive way?
Yeah.
So you know what's really fascinating about that? Almost word for word what you just described. In my second therapy session, he was like to me, my therapist was like to me, you'll say something and then you'll kind of, and he's like, I can tell that's how you feel about something, and then you'll finish the sentence off with, but at the same time I can understand how some people X. Yeah. And he's like to me, why do you do that? And I was like, I don't know, I think I'm just trying to, I guess, maybe be considerate or allow people to have a different opinion to me. And he's like, it comes off as very much not confident. And he's like, part of expressing yourself is potentially offending people. Yeah. But if you're not meaning to offend people, that's a them problem. And the way he said it, I was like damn, because I agree with what he's saying, but then I also think in this environment when it's filmed, and when I end a sentence off with, but at the same time, or I kind of make an excuse for somebody else, I think what I'm doing is I'm not being present, and I'm kind of taking on the viewpoint or the vantage point of the audience member, which is all good and well, and I think that's considerate as a host or a guest or whatever. But that's not real life.
Yeah, very true.
And I think if we weren't filming, let's say if we were just walking through Trader Joe's and we were just having a conversation, I might still do it because I think it's part of my personality. Mm-hmm. but I think I'd be more comfortable just being like,
Yeah, actually,
X. Yeah.
women shouldn't drive. Just like fucking hard points.
Just like,
oh.
I become like a completely different person. No, I think the people are still similar, but there's just more conviction around opinions because I think that's just what the internet does.
I think people are also. I'm a fairly yeah. I have a lot of conviction. I think in what I speak often, but I temper it like you, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm always conflicted, where I'm like, a hard viewpoint.
Yes.
But you know what? I do get it. And I'm always doing that shit, and I notice you do it all the time too.
I do it a lot. I don't know. I'm assuming it's an online content creator thing, or maybe he was putting it down to like
a confidence issue.
Confidence.
I never saw it as that. I see it as us because we have similar minds, and it's the same thing. It's like to be someone who interacts with a lot of people, you have to understand people and like be empathetic to many points of view.
I like that, and I do relate to that, and perhaps his comments to me were somewhat tailored to what I was dealing with at the time, which was largely self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
So like that context is probably important.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's applicable to a lot of people that I talk to that I notice it as well, like doing the same thing as me. And I wonder, like, I don't think everybody has self-esteem issues. So then, So then what?
It is interesting. Playing devil's advocate here. I'll play devil's advocate about this situation, which is kind of ironic. But
go on.
It does make it hard to have a discussion because if you're always, I do this a lot where I'll do the opposite, where I'll just be like, someone will say something and I'll be like, opposite point of view, because that's kind of how you make a conversation move. But if you're constantly like flipping back and forth on things, it becomes kind of hard to like speak to someone like that.
It works in customer service. It works when you're keeping it surface level, or maybe a level below surface level. It's very conducive to that. It's conducive to getting tips and 5 stars.
But you're not actually committing to like any real idea, which is funny.
No,
it's like a commitment issue.
and like, truth be told, like that was part of like what I was talking about in those sessions. The potential downsides of committing to a viewpoint are very obvious, I think, probably to everybody, but I can only speak from my experience in the content creator seat, in that I know that when I say something that I know how people are going to react, because I've done reps of this, and you're the same. We've put out so much content to the point where we know that when we make a dick joke, I know that when I make a dick joke, I know how my audience is going to respond. They're going to go, that was expected, perhaps it was funny in the context, let's move on.
It's weird because I know the way your brain works well enough now, because I see it in myself as well, where reality is gray, like especially all of the hard things to talk about. It's because there's truth on both sides, and I really truly believe that. I don't think any hard issue, the truth is on one side or the other. It's just like, hey, like this is part of the truth and this is part of the truth, and it's hard to like convey that over the internet. But most people kind of understand that, right? That there's an argument to be made for both sides. That is reality. And so I've always kind of seen that in the gray areas of things, where it's like there is so much truth in the gray area, and it is hard having strong points of views when you have like a gray area mind. It's
and because of that, I know a little while ago I kind of reached a conclusion, or at least an opinion, that everything is actually binary. The only time it's grey is if you don't understand it well enough. And that's a very general statement, but I think decisions can be binary if you allow them to be for yourself. And I think the only thing that holds me back from making binary decisions is courage. And that was like this overarching framework of my thinking of like, I know what I should do. I know what I want to do. I can have a conversation with myself and reach conclusions on what works best for me. The only thing stopping me a lot of the time is just
having the balls.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the lion.
Congrats to you for doing the road trip, because I know how much of a decision that is.
Sure.
Because I'm going through the same thing where I'm like, I want to commit to this thing and just fucking send it and go, because I know how good it is for you know, who I am, for my career, for my experience in life, and that's like one of the quintessential like binary choices. It's like, should I leave my comfortable habitat to go adventure and face danger in the world to potentially like grow? You know, that's like one of the biggest tests.
But and I can't speak for you on this, but I think one of the things I've shown myself, I mean, I just turned 30. We just turned 30.
Right.
I hate speaking on behalf of both of us, but there are too many parallels here.
I'm not 30, Darren.
but we've like I've lived enough life to know that I am capable of certain things, and I've got enough like I guess like surety in myself that like if it all falls to shit, I can figure out how to get back. What's that saying of like, you can't teach a man how to fish. Teach a man how to fish, and you'll be hungry.
I know what the expression is, but I really want to hear you try to piece it together.
All right, let me get there. So, give a man a fish, and teach a man how to fish, and you'll be full.
Teach a man how to fish is worth two in the bush.
Oh, that's not what I was getting at. Is that it?
No.
I
was just combining two phrases.
If you
give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish, and he'll never be hungry.
That's exactly it. So, like, I know how to fish.
Yeah. Now, quotes on the other hand, don't know how to put together quotes.
Don't know how to put it together, too. My brain.
Teach a man to remember a quote, and he'll never forget a quote.
Oh, fuck. But
you tell a man a quote and he forgets it right away.
Fuck.
Oh, fucking edit all that out.
Nah, keep it in. That's got to stay in. You're going to watch the crash and burn.
We had a good day, though.
Dude,
we kind of just sunk right into hanging out for like 7 hours and talking.
Dude, I could do this like over and over. Like this could be, I could spend a week here and just have these like slow days, go get something to eat, go for a walk, grab a coffee. Like that, yeah, maybe that's just kind of what I've been needing after being in New York.
I'm happy to replenish you.
Thank you, it's been nice.
I'm happy that we're feeling the same thing, on the same wavelength about a lot of things. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Likewise, dude, and thank you for picking me up from the airport, hosting me. It's been what I thought it would be, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. I really love that this whole genre that's been created from this space out of like, you know, largely me and you. You've kept it really going and like expanded it, and it's like there's this whole thing that Darren's kept alive that my dumbass somehow stumbled into.
It's still there. It's still there for you, man.
And by giving you good advice, it's like this beautiful circle that's happened, right? I'm happy it worked out for you, though, man. It's so cool that it really turned into something. You've been killing it. You've been killing it, dude.
Thank you, man.